Yo! Romance movies aren't just entertainment. We like to think that we're just watching a story unfold, but every film is built on a philosophy of love that seeps into the way we navigate relationships. So I did a deep dive. After watching and ranking 110 romance movies, I selected the top 10, the ones that have shaped pop culture, and by extension, how we think about love. But here's the twist. Each of these films is tied to a deep philosophical concept that reveals the truth about how we experience love. If your favorite movie's on this list, you might just learn something about your own love life. Number 1, a movie that is extremely virtuous, How Harry Met Sally. Now, at first glance, it kind of seems like it's a movie simply about if men and women can be friends, but beneath that surface lies a philosophical concept from Erich Fromm, the idea that love is art. According to Fromm, love isn't just something that happens, it's a skill that we cultivate through honesty, empathy, and effort. In this movie, Harry and Sally spend years building genuine trust, sharing each other's vulnerabilities. It's a slow burn that shows how deep love can grow when it's grounded in real friendship. If this is your favorite movie, you see love as something more than just passion at first sight. Instead, you believe that it's about choosing each other repeatedly over and over again. You really appreciate the unpolished sides of relationships, the banter, petty arguments, and the evolving comfort. Ultimately, you might be a realist who believes that connection is built day by day, not overnight. Next, The Princess Bride. It's often hailed as the ultimate fairy tale romance, a swashbuckling hero, a kidnapped princess. But if we look at it under a philosophical lens, it speaks to something way deeper. Plato's notion of ideal forms. Plato suggested that everything in this world is just a shadow of a perfect ideal. In a sense, Wesley and Buttercup's love is portrayed as something flawless, unwavering devotion that transcends pirates, death, and a six-fingered villain. This is what we might call the ideal form of love. Something that's fantasized, pure and unbreakable. But we should ask, is that always healthy to chase in real life? Real relationships often involve compromises and flaws, whereas The Princess Bride almost seems too perfect. If you like this film, you're probably a romantic dreamer at heart, someone who thinks true love is enough to conquer any obstacle. It's a lovely notion, but it's important to be wary that chasing perfection can often lead to disappointment when reality falls short. Before Sunrise, I looked at it through the lens of Emmanuel Levinas's responsibility to the other principle. Levinas argued that when you truly meet another person, when you really see them, there's an ethical obligation to honor their humanity. And Before Sunrise, Jesse and Celine do exactly that. They strip away their usual small talk and they open themselves up to deeper conversations. It's not just a physical spark, it's two people taking responsibility for the quality of their encounter. If this is your go-to love movie, you believe that love can happen in a single night if both people believe in radical honesty. You believe that real connection requires not only physical attraction, but an empathy and a willingness to fully present oneself, even if it's fleeting. Amelie. I think few movies capture the charm of small acts as well as Amelie. But behind its whimsical style, it raises the question of Michel Foucault's care of the self. Michel Foucault often believed that to care for another person, you have to first care for yourself. Not in a selfish way, but by nurturing our capacity for empathy and compassion. Amelie is shy, but she shows her love to the world by orchestrating little mysteries and good deeds. And it's almost a way to heal her own loneliness. The subtle lesson: sometimes we hide from our own emotional needs by focusing on helping other people. If this is your favorite romance movie, you're a quiet dreamer who believes in the power of small gestures. But it's important to remember that it's easy to distract yourself from what you need when you're focusing on helping or fixing other people. La La Land. I think a lot of us are drawn to the nostalgia of La La Land. Its vibrant colors, its bittersweet ending, but underneath all that jazz lies Zygmunt Bauman's concept of liquid love. In our contemporary fluid world, relationships can be intense yet temporary, cherished but also disposable. Me and Sebastian that fall headfirst into a really passionate affair, yet their personal ambitions eventually pull them apart. It's a testament to the reality that love doesn't always triumph when you're chasing big dreams. The film leaves us with this lingering question: can we have it all? Love, success, and personal fulfillment? Or must we sacrifice one for the other? If this story resonates with you, you might be someone who's juggling big goals with finding love. And you're probably aware that sometimes the timing just isn't right. You're aware that heartbreak can be bittersweet and that the value of a relationship isn't always in its duration, but it's in how it helps you grow. Her, the movie where a lonely man falls in love with an operating system. It might sound absurd, but Her raises philosophical questions like Roland Barthes' A Lover's Discourse. Barthes believed that love is shaped by unique gestures shared between two beings. Here, the main character, Theodore's lover, is an AI. They both engage in intimate conversations that feel every bit as profound as those between two human beings. This really pushes us to consider whether physical presence is truly necessary for genuine love. At what point do words, empathy, and deep understanding become enough? Her suggests that we can have a deeply fulfilling bond, even if it's not rooted in the usual social norms. If you're a big fan of Her, you believe in unconventional relationship dynamics, but the film warns us you have to be cautious about illusions. Falling in love with the perfect partner who can't fully share your human vulnerabilities might leave you lonelier in the end. Before Sunset. Before Sunset takes us 9 years forward after that night in Vienna. Real life has happened, and Simone de Beauvoir's freedom and responsibility hangs heavy in the air. De Beauvoir argues that every choice in love, who we stay with, who we leave, whether we risk it all, is all a moral decision that shapes our identity. Here, Jesse and Celine find themselves at a crossroads, torn between their established lives and the resolved feelings that never went away. It's a reminder that love isn't just about feeling something, it's also about making choices that inevitably affect the other. If this is your favorite movie, you're someone who wonders about the what ifs. You realize that love isn't always convenient or clean. Sometimes it arrives at the wrong time, forcing you to choose between comfort and what could be a deeper connection. You're willing to accept that love is complicated, but you believe it's worth fighting for if it's real. Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind. It's more than just a quirky sci-fi movie. It's a cinematic exploration of Friedrich Nietzsche's eternal recurrence. Nietzsche asked, if you had to live your life over and over and over again, would you embrace every joy and every pain again and again? In this film, Joelle and Clementine choose a procedure to erase each other from their memories, convinced that the pain of heartbreak is too overwhelming. But as their memories fade, they realize the joy was worth the hurt. Love, in all of its messiness, is a part of what makes us who we are. If Eternal Sunshine is your favorite movie, you believe that heartbreak is a necessary ingredient in the beauty of life. You accept that you can't just delete your past without losing something essential. It's a bold stance. Real love is bittersweet, and you're okay with that because it's better than feeling nothing. How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. Switching gears to like a classic rom-com style, beneath the comedic plot is a Machiavellian concept of strategic manipulation. Here, the central conflict revolves around two people trying to win a bet by controlling how the other acts in a relationship. It's hilarious to watch as a viewer, but it's also a lesson in what happens when we see love as a game to be won rather than a bond to be nurtured. While the film tries to wrap up with genuine affection, the relationship's foundation is built on deceitful tactics. If this is your favorite movie, you appreciate playful banter, comedic tension of like outsmarting the other person, but in real life, these manipulations erode trust and they break the foundation of our relationships. Real relationships and real connections thrive on authenticity and honesty, not constant one-upmanship. And finally, at the very bottom, The Notebook. Yes, it's a cultural darling of an epic romance, but if we look closely at it, what is it really? It underscores Jacques Lacan's theory of desire and fantasy, and here we see some pretty murky ethics. Lacan argues that desire is fueled by fantasy, and often we're chasing an idealized version of someone rather than who they really are. In The Notebook, Noah and Allie's intense passion borders on obsession, overshadowing things like honesty, personal commitments, and yes, outright cheating. The movie romanticizes that love conquers all, conveniently skirting around the moral consequences of their action. If this is your favorite movie, you're a big believer in destiny and all-consuming passion, but be careful to not let that justify toxic or dishonest behavior. Fantasies can be seductive, but it's really important to remember that actual love requires accountability and responsibility. It's tough, not just grand gestures in the rain.